Andile, it's a big case that we've now just heard for us. The Secretary General, Magashule, getting that 200,000 rand bail situation. How do you think this fares then for his political future? Does this perhaps stamp things in a negative light now for him officially?
Oh, well, Arabile, any court case, especially being charged with corruption, will certainly have some sort of negative connotations to it. Of course, he has a chance to clear himself. He has been given the platform as from next year when the case perhaps gets underway, so he will be able to then claim himself. But in terms of Arabil, in terms of the ANC itself, as the governing party, this is certainly not a good image for the party. Remember, this is the governing party, and this is the person who is the engine of that party. I mean, if the engine of the party is then standing in the dock, just imagine so what that does, perhaps generally to the morale of the membership as well, and to actually many South Africans who look up to the ANC. But of course, as we say, let the law take its course. And it's interesting because all this means is that no one is above the law. Perhaps guilty or not guilty, but this is giving confidence and trust in the system that it doesn't matter who is accused of what, so the law will be able to deal with those matters. So we'll watch Arabil and see what exactly happens. And we heard that there will be other people who may still be arrested in connection with this. And earlier the NPA was saying the people who are appearing in court is because they have a solid case. So let's see if indeed NPA is ready to continue with this case, Arabil.
Yeah. Zwandile, if we can talk just again about the ANC. I mean, they've previously said quite vehemently that they would like anybody who is involved in situations like this, court proceedings of any kind, that they would need to step away from their duties as African National Congress members. In this case, though, of course, they've done a U-turn on that situation. Does this official bail hearing with Magashule getting that 200,000 rand bail situation, does that change things at all? Do you think that the ANC will now U-turn again and perhaps say to Magashule he indeed needs to step away from his duties with the African National Congress?
Absolutely not, Arabile. I don't see anything change. What will happen basically is that we'll be told that he's innocent until he's found otherwise. So, and remember, he's an elected official, and then no one really can do anything about it unless the conference were to decide that. But for me, Arabile, what would be interesting, these events are actually a build-up to the National General Council. You see what happened outside court. You see some of the people banning the T-shirt of the current president. You see some of the people saying the president must step down. So already, we may be facing a case here which is a corruption-related case, but it has huge political implications. So it's not really confined to the issues of corruption. This is talking about a bigger ANC and its political future. Yes, the engine of the party is in the dock, and then what next now? So do they blame the current head of the ANC, as we have seen with the members? Of course, we did speak to Jesse Duarte earlier, who basically said those were isolated incidents. But the fact of the matter is that there are people who feel that way, and the question is, how many are feeling that way?
Yeah, you're quite right. And, they've just come from a huge by-election win as well. Then we are, of course, seeing things happening just outside the courtroom. Of course, we are expecting to get a little bit of comment then coming through from the ANC. Just very lastly, before we head to that from you, Mzwandile, we're getting a sense then, of course, that the supporters outside the courtroom have certainly stood there despite Magashule himself then saying that he doesn't want people to actually rally in his name, even putting out regalia in his name as well, and that he wants them to perhaps focus on the court case at hand. He will hand himself over as he did today, but supporters still staying vehement. Indeed, also then throwing a few jabs, if you want to call it that, at the president, Cyril Ramaphosa. Do you expect a statement perhaps from him a little bit later on?
I expect him to say something to those people who have come to support him. and perhaps to come and thank them. And he will probably, as the Secretary General of the ANC, discourage people from doing what they've done, those who have burned the T-shirts and those who've been saying the president must step down. But of course, the dynamics in the ANC, and of course, this is politics. And sometimes in politics, what you say is not necessarily what you wish to see done.
Yeah, 100% true there. My colleague Mzwandile Mbeje, indeed, following proceedings then for us in that court case with the ANC Secretary General there, Ace Magashule, indeed getting bail of 200,000 rand. Of course, the state prosecutor had actually wanted that scenario where the bail itself actually had to be set at 250,000 rand. They didn't necessarily get that figure, but they are sitting with perhaps a second prize, if you want to call it that, as the situation continues to go through. Let's head on over, though, to outside the court case where there's some dancing and singing, and we are expecting Ace Magashule perhaps to give a word as well then right outside the courtroom. Let's take you live to that now, and we'll be back with you right after this.
Dinheiro, o Fedile vai estar pela batata, Câmara na Costa Feliz pelo. Agora que vai estar retendo na ré, ele vai estar pela fita. Que vai estar para florestada, aquela polícia matou no terreno. Frustrante isso é. It's Gauteng, yeah, Gauteng it. Limpopo it. Mpumalanga it. Good man. President Aaron it. Northern Cape it. Amayo. Northwest it. Eastern Cape Limited, Western Cape Limited. So everybody's here. Kibata, rikota maisha msebetona kapela, rikole sinyeta nako. Kiatiba wabambalo nale na lili trikere, wabambalo nale na lema chai. Take sugar diabetics and salt diabetic. Then you want to do. Don't follow Yakudisa. Or Barca Saramos. Escalaking and Itavitava, Kimohalaj. So, where the Pelaboto, Takamana, Nagasa, Pedisim Pelu, who fed illegal Hotankamana by Tapilabata. Jono Kitoko Power, relative and the Batavalanga, Takavana, the Trakena, Kitataka Fuku, the Trakim Monana. Mara, before Fukuta, Kitoko Barutiva Kakimatabula, Sedetuna Catapello, Namotea Rapelan, Namotea Zvamura, Nasi, Pizza, Menetayo Huena. Ritlequano comrades, but that's yet one of our own who deserve our support. So we are here to support the Secretary General of the African National Congress. And Ariata Kabumasi, Akare ANC nationality, Resapote Kabumwe. So Ritle Kabumwe Kabungata. The Abutra Bumwe Babungata. Kioneri Tenga Jekulina. So Record Theatre, one of our own. Record Theatre, the Secretary General of the African National Congress. And and we are not feeling ashamed to support one of our own. Kitokupa, Yatsuran sanitizer, okay. Yatsuran sanitizer, Mungalori Hana sanitizer. Ifuna Obu Kueha. All right. Yatsuran PCR tissue. I'm not answering PCR tissue. I give a total Kudisa. What's an wipe ya? Level blue fountain, level weekend. Moki epicenter. Moki epicenter. But my health by their hand. But my health by Kibuantre Guatua to my health. Barrebo, Holobaba Twana, let's try to Bloemfontein, Jologai epicenter, about by between 20 and 24. What constituted 22%? Babachela Pilbar, but Balatelang. By 18%, about 25 up to 31. And then to attribute Obona, Barakidiba Katana Takamona Second Avenue. I didn't think about it too. Little in detail location in Ibakata to get on a Kenyang Vava Fomo and Alekwa Momesum. Liao Honolbunda ntatemolo le ba fihlele ba tshwaetse jwanong ke episente monana le kenye dismonkwana tsa lona le sanitizer le kenye dismonkwana smonkwana ke dintho di-mask ke sa le hole le ho fela tawena batla ho fa baruti ba ka baruti ba re nke ka thapelo ha re ntse re emetse ba tsa pele o tla qala mosebetsi baruti ba ka ke fa lona
Thank you, Mutlatsa Mudula Stulo Amanda. Yeah, Remo supporter Secretary General. And Ergegera is a little Harry Libala Mudimu. Now Retamile Remolebuhe. Despite the challenges, Rikilokupa Murutima Kolwani, Aretum Kana Gwetelele, Uribule la Musevesiona Katapelo. halalela Jehova magodi lefatshe lohle le tletse kganya le halalelo ya hao disirafime ha di bona di kwaela maoto le mahlo a tsona hobaneng modimong yohle ha ona modimo ntata mosalemo hao re tla re bina sefela se ne se binwa ke mawesela kgale ba re kubo bonke o Thixo akekho njengawe.
All right, then my colleague Aphumelele is also following this one for us. Then let's get a hint. I think my colleague is actually standing by with Pule Mabe, the national spokesperson for the ANC.
We're outside the Bloemfontein Magistrates Court. We're about to speak to the ANC spokesperson, Pule Mabe, just to give us a glimpse of what has transpired inside court. We know that the Secretary General Magashule has just been released on 200,000 bail, and well, the case has been postponed to next year, 19th of February. But just with me, just to give us on what really transpired in court, what would you say about the charges that are leveled against Secretary General Magashule?
Well, we leave those issues to the SG's legal team. He has got a capable legal team. The court has confirmed that he has been cooperating with the processes from the very onset when they became aware. So each and everything that needed to be done has been done. He was here in court and still showed the necessary cooperation. This is quite encouraging, to cooperate with law enforcement agencies and allow processes to follow their own due course.
But we've also heard that there's going to be a state witness, a former PA. Can you confirm that to us?
Well, that was what was said by the courts. I mean, it's not really for me. I don't speak on behalf of the courts of the Republic. So if there are issues that journalists or the media want to confirm on the status of the case and all of that, they are very much welcomed to speak to the NPA or those that are running the case. We were just here to understand the nature of the charges that are being preferred against the Secretary General. The national officials of the ANC have already issued a statement guiding members of the ANC on how they are supposed to really conduct and carry themselves around this. That's why earlier on, when there were scenes of T-shirts of the president being banned and all of that, we spoke to the chairperson and secretary of the province, who were also here, that perhaps at an organizational level outside the courts, they need to find ways of addressing that, because the national officials and the SG himself has really spoken against such conduct. So if people come and they are showing support in their own capacities, they must do so in a dignified manner and not erode the good name of the ANC or undermine its leadership as elected at the 54th National Conference.
Mr. Mabe, we know that this still remains, the charges still remains allegations, but with you being here with the other people like Tony Yengen, wouldn't you say that you are in defiance of the policy of the ANC?
No. The African National Congress, the national officials have clarified how NEC members or anyone wishing to come to court must carry themselves.
That was Pule Mabe, of course, the spokesperson. He's in a hurry to go inside, but he's giving us a glimpse of what really transpired inside, and he's saying that there is no defiance for the decision by the ANC top structures, that he is here together with Mzandile Masina, Suprama Humapilu, as also and Tony Yengen. Those are the people that we saw inside court, and I could say that it was full to capacity, and also outside there's still hive of activities where some members are still here. Also earlier on they clashed with the police wanting an access to the court premises, but all I can say is that we know that Secretary General Magashule is out on bail, and his conditions is that he's supposed to tell the investigating officer when he wants to travel abroad. However, he has given to the state his expired passport, but in terms of arrangements outside the country, he will have to talk to the investigating officer.
Of course, then we are, of course, continuing to follow proceedings then out of Bloemfontein, indeed, where Magashule, the Secretary General of the African National Congress, did earlier on receive 200,000 rand bail from the court in the region. Then we are expecting him to perhaps speak to all those that have indeed followed him and are supporting him outside the courtroom then as well in a few moments' time. We are waiting for that to kind of happen. Of course, we've heard now from the spokesperson of the ANC, that's Pule Mabe, with regards to the people that are then in support of Magashule outside the courtroom. Indeed, him saying that they're doing so in their own capacity, and that people must indeed respect the law and obey what Magashule has indeed asked for, which is that members of the ANC not arrive then in the ANC regalia particularly, and that they do not make any brandings, whether it be in regalia or anything of the sort, in his name. Indeed. Let's head on over then to the court proceedings, or outside the courtroom, should I say, where of course we are awaiting Magashule to address supporters.
har fuku agrente rulgata sa kobete derulgata sa kobete der seventa ka social distancing der seventa ka mask der seventa ka sanitizer so ke batla o leboha modula stulo wa batjha le mongodi wa hae Comrade Regan Garban never keep the fire burning. Aren't there Realebua Esma Magashule Baka